Welcome to Beer and Business. You found the best podcast for entrepreneurs. We serve crafty business knowledge, comedy, and yes, beer. And now it's time for our hosts. If he were to pat you on the back, you'd list it on your resume. It's Jake Mullins. And his beer never gets warm. It just sits there, staying frosty, waiting for him. Mr. John Winnie. And if you spell his name in Scrabble, you automatically win. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Darren Flanagan.
We did it again. Here we are in the studio. I can't believe it's working. I know we've done this twice. Folks, welcome back to the Beer and Business Podcast. And today on the show, we've got Dancho Dimkov all the way from Macedonia. And not Macedonia, Georgia, Macedonia, the country, right? So we picked our first time to live stream a remote guest, and he's on the other side of the world. So Dancho, welcome to the Beer and Business Podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Jack. We're just like, that's the circle on the globe. We're just on the other side.
The internet cable goes through the middle, I guess.
Straight to the center of the earth.
If you want to send me the beer, I think that you should just pour it on the ground. It will just fall on my hand from the sky.
We'll see how good our aim is. Well, Dancho, we really appreciate you coming on the show. But before we get into your story, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn specifically today, which I'm totally stoked to do.
Yes.
We're drinking breakfast beer. We had to do this in the morning because, you know, you're on the other side of the world, so it's afternoon there. And we are drinking the official beer, the Beer and Business Podcast. Wish you could try this over there in Macedonia. This is a delicious IPA. We are drinking this beer is called Colorin beer. And I don't know if you can see this, Dancho, but the can is all white. So you can actually color this like a child, like a coloring book. It's pretty awesome.
Not sure if you can still get this beer at the moment. This one
may have run out.
Yeah, some technical difficulties going by yesterday to pick up beer. It wasn't them. It was me. They just, they're working on their new place over in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And so nobody was there, and I'm like, oh, man. So I reached into my fridge, found a couple of their favorites, and Jake's going to bring out one of their staple beers in a little bit after this one. So
yes, but this is a delicious beer. It is it's a great IPA. It's a white IPA, so it's got a little bit of a haze to it.
So good.
Oh, it's so good. And when they
try to figure out. Just throw one. Come on.
Just try to get it right through the screen there, huh? Yeah, it's delicious, and it's funny when they were serving this at the brewery, if they still have it. They actually had markers there at the bar, and you could color your can while you're sitting there drinking. It was pretty cool. But we want to remind you to support the official beer, the Beer Business Podcast, Lion Creek Brewing. They're a great sponsor. Go hang out at the brewery. They are opening a new one, which we'll start to talk about as we get close to opening.
We're going to be hanging out tomorrow at the brewery, aren't we?
We are. So tomorrow, if you would like to join us in one of the best ways to business network, come out to the brewery, hang out. We're doing business networking from 4 o'clock to 6 tomorrow. Man, that snuck up on us fast. It feels like just a month ago we're like,
well, the best way, I think, is not to hang out with us.
Right,
specifically,
not us, please.
Other people who will be there at the brewery over a beer.
Yes.
And it's Lion Creek beer. Come on.
Yeah, it is. So, come out and join us. We'd love to see you. Like I said, 4 to 6 p.m. And if you can't make it out, just go to the brewery anytime or go to the store and just buy their beer. It's delicious.
It's going to be a food truck there tomorrow, too.
Oh, actually something inspired from your part of the world, the Mad Greek.
Yep. Oh, man.
I love all Mediterranean fare.
Gyro
delicious.
And some falafel and oh boy.
Yes. And weren't you just in Greece over the weekend?
Yeah, extended weekend with the family. I just hop on a car, 2.5 hours. You're on the fantastic Greek coastline. Swim a bit, enjoy a bit, ouzo a bit, tzatziki, gyro, you know the drill. Yeah, we didn't break any plates. There was a tradition ago when they start Greek music, you start breaking plates on the ground. I didn't do that. But yeah, it helps. I mean, just doing some extended weekend relaxation and back to work.
That's good. How many times did you say opa when you were drinking your ouzo?
I'm not allowed to say there. This is live. There is live audience. Kids
Okay.
involved. So.
Good answer. Discretion is
good.
the better part of valor.
Well, before we get into the conversation with Dancho, if you're one of our loyal audio listeners, we love you. Thanks so much for being such a great supporter of the show. And you can tune into us live now. So if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you're listening to it recorded, but you can actually watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. All you got to do is go on either one of those platforms and search for Beer and Business Podcast. And the really cool thing about doing that is you can actually interact with us live. So if you've got a question today, if you're watching us right now, and I do see that there's people watching us, you can ask Dancho a question. And as long as it's appropriate, we'll
answer it.
Big caveat there. It's got to be appropriate, but we will ask him.
Which means we have to step up our game a little bit on the socials. And I'm trying. I tried to give people lead time that this was coming out. You did the same thing.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know when our episodes are going to be coming out ahead of time. So you can either, fake calling in sick to work so you can watch the podcast, watch us live, or even just send us questions. You can go to the website, beer.business, and type in, your questions that you'd like us to ask the guest when they're coming on.
Absolutely. So today, Dancho, we're talking about something that I cannot believe it. When you reached out about coming on the podcast, you specialize in prospecting through LinkedIn. And when you reached out, it occurred to me that we're almost 3 years into this podcast, and we've never gone deep on that subject. And I'm like,
Wow.
How have we not done this?
I
It's
think
crazy.
the only person that we had Lynn Malach on, and she talked about making sure that your
Content, right?
content is right on LinkedIn, and I think that's it.
That's
That's
it.
the only thing. So
Yeah.
I'm
this
like,
and
how
that
have we
was-
come this far and not talked about LinkedIn? It's crazy.
And that was episode 73. I actually listened to it before
Look at
I reached
that.
out. And I said, you know what? On episode 73, you talk about LinkedIn, but only you scratch the surface, like content, but then you did a lot of comparison, compared Instagram, TikTok, and the other social media. And I was like, man, there is a whole magic out there on the lead generation and LinkedIn that has to be told.
Yeah. So here's where I'd like to start the conversation with you, Dancho. So LinkedIn, at least for me, and I'm sure probably a lot of people in our age group, LinkedIn started as this like online resume platform. That's really kind of how you thought about it. It was a great way to find jobs. And then, it's really evolved, and it's evolved rapidly like most tech platforms. And today, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm excited to have this conversation because I don't even know where to begin on how to effectively maximize this platform. I feel like I haven't scratched the surface. So let's start with what was it that got you interested in LinkedIn as a platform and becoming the expert that you are today?
Well, more of by accident, more of by strategic choice. But when I started BSB Solution 6 years ago, we were a management consultant company. So we loved working with entrepreneurs and startups and doing market research and business plans and a bit of sales support and supply support like product sourcing. But when you work with entrepreneurs, they have so many problems. It's not like I need just help with growth. It's like
Yes,
I need
we
help
do.
with finance, with product, with accounting, with legal. I mean, it is a lot of work.
A lot
And
of
many
legal
of the
with Darren
entrepreneurs
Flanagan.
and many of the entrepreneurs get discouraged. It's like, but this is so much work, man. I just was drinking, got a fantastic idea, and I was like, whether in 6 months I'll be a billionaire or a millionaire. And I was like, nope. Okay, I'm giving up. It's too much work then. Thank you very much.
that's Colin.
And my exactly. But the second problem that I had was that, when you work with entrepreneurs on strategic management, business planning, it's a one-time project. You work with them, you create the strategy and everything, and they start their business and thank you very much. And I need to find myself a new client. And there I've realized that when we do the lead generation, it's a never-ending story. I mean, client needs leads over leads over leads. If you bring them 10, 20, they want more. If you bring them 50, 100, they want more. And actually, I've realized that if I want continuity in our work, business plan is really attractive and exciting, but the money is in the lead generation because they can feel the revenue directly that they are getting from the service. And that's how slowly we moved from a management consulting. I mean, I'm still a management consultant, but now the area of specialization went toward the sales aspect. So that's how we actually shifted our focus and also from entrepreneurs, we also migrated a bit toward SMEs. Because as I told you, with a lot of problems with entrepreneurs, well, when you work with SMEs, they have only one problem: how to scale and how to grow as fast as possible. They have a product or a service, they have a pricing, they have an accountant, they have a lawyer, and they just need help to grow. I mean, that's the only goal.
So when you say SME, or you mean subject matter expert?
Yeah, small and medium enterprises.
Oh, small and medium enterprise. I didn't know what I got you.
Yeah, well, SMEs in Macedonia, small and medium enterprises. Yeah, well, up to 50
it's probably the
employees.
Same here, but that acronym's used for other things too. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, well, the focus is that with corporation is a different world, but as long as we stayed with small companies, with small businesses, they can afford the services, but also we can really help them grow. And by grow, I mean, there are so many ways how a company can grow. You can put ads, you can put SEO, you can create a podcast even at the end of the day. There are so many channels on how you can grow. And we did a lot of experimentation. So we said, well, you know what? Let's specialize into B2B services because we really suck at B2C. I mean, if you have a product, I don't know how to sell. If you have a e-commerce, Shopify stuff, I don't know how to help you, man.
I
mean, that's the expertise. So we said B2B.
Really quick, so people, if they don't know what B2B is, it's business to business, folks. Okay? Just to help you there.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, what are you drinking?
Yeah, what do you got there? You got a little Macedonian beer?
Well, it is happy hour time for you, so you're okay.
Yeah, it's more socially acceptable for you.
Yeah, I actually got a Tuborg from Denmark.
Oh, Tuborg.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a Copenhagen, Denmark beer. I was looking for a local one to use the opportunity to promote it. But you know what? I was working and I just sent off my wife, just grab some beer, and she took Tuborg. So I'm stuck with Tuborg.
Are you stuck? Is it good or are you really stuck with it?
Yeah, I know. It's really good.
Okay,
it's really good, but man, I'm from Macedonia. I need to promote the local beer. We have Skopsko, and you know, on a Skopsko, the advertisement is Skopsko and everything is possible with 3 dots. So it gives you a lot of imagination on the beer.
Even Darren can be attractive with Macedonian beer. Anything's possible.
But to give you, Jake,
and watch this. ...
Yeah, but Jake, to give you just one example of an ad that they had was like, you know, a celebration, a family is gathered all together and there is a pig roasted slowly on a fire. And they're putting Skopsko beer on top of the pig. And all of a sudden, the pig gets up and starts running around, and people are chasing the roasted beer. And it says Skopsko, and everything is possible.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome. So back to, before I interrupted you, to let people
yeah,
know
no worries. Well, the specialization came in the B2B world because in B2C, we really have no clue how to help. And in the B2B, we even more further specialized into the high ticket service providers. So when it comes to services above 5K, 10K, 50K, 100K services, here is where the magic begins. Because here, when we work with these kind of companies or clients, they don't really have too many alternatives. I mean, you cannot put a Facebook ad with flashy LED. I have a very nice service, 50K. Just click on that, swipe your credit card and pay me 50,000 or 50K. I wish it worked like that, but unfortunately it doesn't. So when it comes to more expensive services, people are a bit more relationship oriented and they actually look inside their network. Who do I know that could actually do the job for me? Or they look for referrals. It's rare opportunity where someone needs a new website for 10, 15K or some expensive service and they just put a job ad or Craigslist or just on Facebook, hi, I'm looking for something expensive. And in these cases, you cannot use the Facebook ads because nobody knows you and wouldn't just swipe their credit card. The SEO is always here, the content creation, but it takes a while. I mean, you cannot just create a blog today and tomorrow 50 people lined up to become your clients. I mean, it takes some time for the SEO to kick in. So the outreach is the most logical alternative from channels in order to generate leads. And that's why we say, well, we are experts in that field. The more complicated the sales process, the more expensive the service, the more multiple people involved in the whole sales cycle, the more exciting it is for us, but also the more expensive the service is, and there is point in doing the whole outreach step.
Gotcha. So let's kind of start at the beginning with LinkedIn. You know, when you're talking to somebody about that platform, you know, how do you describe it to people? What functions are most relevant in in LinkedIn as a platform?
Well, compared to the other social media, LinkedIn is a business platform. And that helps a lot because when we do the outreach process, we can hunt down people based on jobs, based on geography, based on size, based on a lot of demographics and firmographics that are not easily available on any other platform. So before LinkedIn even introduced the Sales Navigator, we were doing it manually. I mean, 5-6 years ago when we started, a client comes in and are like, I need leads. And then we go and we built a database of prospects and like, okay, you're into the real estate, for example. And if you're in the real estate, we're actually going to start looking for realtors and finding their contact information and LinkedIn and email and then do the outreach. But the problem is that when you build a database, in 3 to 6 months, come on, it's 21st century. People change job, people change, get promoted, get demoted. People even die nowadays. So database really became obsolete.
Can I speak with Roger? Roger died. Oh, I'll call back next week.
No, but do you have a phone in heaven or in hell so I can reach out?
Do you have a number I can reach him at?
Well, you know, the one thing I love about LinkedIn is when you first of all, when people want to reach out to you and connect with you, right? It's like because somehow you're the first removed or second connection or third connection and you accept it. And you're like, okay, that's fine. I'll accept your connection. And immediately you get that message that comes in. And it's that automated message. And it's like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'd love to connect with you and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, there was no thought into that. There's nothing personal, and it irritates the crap out of me when I get those. And although it might be your first step when you're setting somebody up and you're like, well, that's what we do. Is that kind of how you help people start? Like if I said, you know, Dan Chael, I want you to help me with Launch and Go on LinkedIn, and I want to prospect some new clients and bring them in here. How does that process start with you?
Yeah, it would be really uncomfortable if that was our service. Like, well, sorry, we do that, but no worries. That is how we started.
In my mouth, which I do every day. It's like, yeah, that's what we do exactly.
Well, that's how we started. I mean, I think it's a learning curve. When an agency starts, they're like, okay, let's automate. And they just said invitation, follow up by a pitch, a sales pitch. Come on, I do X, Y, Z for X, Y, Z, 6 figure, 7 figure. I help you in 30 days to get, and usually, you know, the red Ferrari behind you. You're like this. And if you want my lifestyle, buy services from me. That's a usual typical
Jake's favorite
sales.
pictures.
The Instagram entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So exactly.
You started out that way. You said you started that way. And then what did you learn? Was it effective, or did you realize that you were just, oh my gosh, your customers they're not getting the results that they're anticipating from you?
Yeah, well, Darren, we first test everything on ourselves because I need to show results rather than, there is a client, let's try this and see what happens. But the whole point is that we didn't know better. So we just reach out to people, there are so many automations out there that you can use. I even have a video interview series. If you go on our website, BizB Solution, under BizB video interviews, I interview 9 or 10 different marketing sales automation where they share their screen and how they can automate exactly the process that Darren said. But the problem is that when you work with high ticket service providers, and let me just give you the framework on what does a high ticket service provider means. Okay. Majority of our clients are consultants or coaches, and they actually work into the B2B world. Second group are marketing and sales agency, which it's weird, but we work with a lot of marketing agency helping them find clients. And the third group are the software companies, either enterprise software as a service SaaS or software development companies where, you know, they have a bit more expensive projects. When these kind of profiles reach out to LinkedIn, we have a negotiation consultant from Switzerland that works on projects above 1 million, specifically, doesn't touch a project below 1 million. And he's targeting only Fortune 500. Wow. And you see, with this kind of roles, you cannot just go and, hey, hi, I work on projects above million. If you want to hire me, just 50K and thank you very much. And now we have an internal joke here at BizB. when someone invites us, we accept and we just measure how much time it will take till they'll start pitching whatever they have.
There you go. Yep.
And we even called it, I think it was value vomit. When you're like, hi, blah, starting just like, just offering something. And that's without knowing who the guy is.
I like that. That's a great phrase.
Well, let's stop there because, you know, one of the things that I think is going to help kind of put things into perspective on how to do things right is that every one of you that's listening or watching, if you're on LinkedIn, you are experiencing this where people are, you know, connecting with you all like total strangers. You go like every week I get these, you know, requests to connect from total strangers. And as soon as you open them up, you know, they're like, or even in the first message, a lot of times you're trying to sell something,
right?
You know, and it's like, you know, you'll connect with somebody and it's like, hey, you know, I know you've really been looking for medical devices for nurses. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm in real estate.
Right.
You know,
No idea.
But it's just funny how it's kind of like I guess you'd call it like a spray and pray method where people just go out and they just, you know, do this and it can't be effective.
Oh, it's value vomit.
It's value
like
vomit.
you
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
It's an awesome phrase.
So,
Yeah,
Dan,
Jack-
what does right look like? So, you know, if somebody were saying, okay, I want to use LinkedIn as a platform to go prospecting, what is kind of the step-by-step process? Starting from the beginning, how do you teach people to effectively utilize that platform?
Well, can I give you a short story of an example of client
Yes.
because it will add some clarity?
Absolutely.
Spain,
Let me
Ibiza.
nuzzle up to a beer. I
Spain,
love stories.
the country Spain.
Spain country, Ibiza, the island, we had a real estate client. And he was actually looking for investors, and it was a 10 million euro project. He had some really good residents in Ibiza. And he was like, okay, can you help with the outreach to find us an investor that's willing to invest 10 million euros in real estate? And we were like, no, I mean, we can find a guy who'd be interested and bring it to you. But I mean, in that kind of value, you don't even mention the word pitch or sales or anything. So what we did is we screened whole Europe. We were looking for real estate investor, for hedge funds, family wealth management companies. So we screened all of them. There were not that many actually in Europe. We did a background check on each of them, which of those are actually working in real estate. Mm-hmm. And our approach was actually to invite them to go on Ibiza on a cruise, on a yacht, just to do fishing with the real estate company. That's it. Because just the fishing, if we bring an investor to come on a fishing, at that level of money, people don't work on project, people just work with people. If I like you, right. I'll just give you whatever you're doing. And that's the only really extreme example that we had, but it just gives the point that when we're doing outreach on LinkedIn, we don't even try to pitch or to sell, because when we work with high ticket service providers, we're just trying to cold prospect to people, engage into conversation and start the relationship. Because yeah, if you have a €5, $10, $20 service, I mean, you don't need all the chit chatty. I mean, just flashy LED, click on the ad, swipe your credit card and that's it. But 10K, 20K, 50K services, man, you really need to connect with people first.
We're the same way here though. You know, he said it's building a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
And you like the person, you like their service, you like who they are. That's how you do business. That's the right way to do business.
Well,
I like that.
Let's come back to the relationship aspect of it, because where you started, which I think is so critical in this story, is doing research. I mean, because the method that so many people are using today, the value vomit, just going out there connecting with people, you don't need to go connect with millions of people. It's just going to create a headache, right? So what you guys did is you were very, very specific in trying to find out who's in this universe of possibilities. And I think that would be the same for anybody,
They
right?
should have just contacted a Swiss bank, though. I'm sure they had the clients.
Oh, no, they don't give that list out.
Right.
Well, you can send a basket of beer like in good faith. Can you give me the list? That
You'd have
could
my
work.
attention.
I don't know.
Yeah, but the difference, Jack, is that it also, many times when we work with very niche target, they have like 500s, 200s, 300s potential clients in total. And you cannot just go to those and like, hi, would you like to buy? No, thank you very much. Next one. Hi, would you like to buy? No. You're burning bridges actually. And you're going to go over all 300 and that's it. That's your entire market. I mean, we're working now with clients that are targeting banks or mobile operators. It's not like there are 50,000 mobile operators out there. There are a finite number. There are a few hundreds. And if we don't do the right relationship building, we're just going to burn all the bridges and that's it. They can no longer do their business.
So how do you start that relationship, though, on LinkedIn? You go out, you do your research for the client, like you're saying, $10 million for this real estate in Spain, and you're looking for a very specific client. And then how do you find them outside of LinkedIn, obviously, and then you hope that they're on LinkedIn? Is that what you're trying to do? And then build that relationship that way? How does that work for you guys?
Well, we usually start from LinkedIn because at least, God forbid, they have very nice LinkedIn filters. I don't know if you've tried LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is like $70, $80 per month, but it gives you full segmentation of the market. And by full, I mean, I can easily say, okay, I'm looking for companies that are in the US or specifically in California or in New York in specific geographies. And I'm interested in those that are in real estate, or I'm interested in the accounting industry. So I can even choose per industry. And then I can even look at, well, I want to have 1 to 10 employees companies, or 11 to 50 or 50. So I can even choose how big I want it to them. And within those companies, I can look for specific people. Like I want to be either owner, partner, CX, chief executive level, or VP or director, but I don't want, entry or intern or something. Right. And then you can even choose up to specific positions that you want to target.
Wow.
Well, let's back up for a minute. But before we do so, Jonathan Snyder just sent us a message. He does know some Saudi princes who are looking for somebody to give their inheritance to, so you may want to reach out to him.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Just wanted to show that, guys. If you do have questions for Dancho, please send them. We'd love to interact with you. So you can see that we got people watching the show now. So, don't be shy. Dancho is a wealth of knowledge.
This is all new stuff.
I
on
know,
the screen
man.
that
It's
we're
so
looking
cool.
at. I'm like, okay, we're looking here, we're looking there.
It's like the space shuttle. It's got
And so if you guys are wondering, why the hell are they looking up?
It's because Darren screwed up and gave the other TV away today, so we had to reverse the studio.
Yeah, so we reverse the
last
studio and the TV's up on the wall. So
Yes,
for us to
sorry
see
about that.
Dancho,
See Dancho enjoying that delicious Danish beer.
that beer looks like it should have a straw.
It's huge.
It's that big.
That's a big boy beer. Look at that.
Woo.
Yeah.
Well, goes on to number
0.2.
2. We're gonna have a lot of
it's
fun
a
on the second half of the
half a
podcast
liter.
when he opens up the second one.
So Dancho,
have
in all
2 more.
seriousness, though, he's got 2 more. Attaboy, we do too. So I want to go back. So you mentioned Sales Navigator, which is actually a tool inside of LinkedIn, which I don't want to gloss over because the vast majority of people don't have Sales Navigator because it is an add-on premium service, right?
Yeah.
And are you familiar with pricing? I think it's like the last time I checked, I thought it was like $50 a
He
month
just
or
said,
something like
and
that.
it might be. He said 70 to 80.
I think it's in the
So-
$70 per month, but it's worth every penny. I mean, it's LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I mean, it's a sales tool. And if you're into the sales, $70 per month should be really nothing.
$70 for marketing?
Yeah,
That's a
I mean-
drop in the bucket.
Well, we used to use this. So when I was with Cricket and we were expanding distribution, we were looking for investors to open Cricket stores. And we use Sales Navigator because it's like, for you to say, okay, I'm looking for people that invest with this kind of portfolio. Well, when you're out in the general LinkedIn universe, it's this really broad stroke and it takes a while. But with Sales Navigator, it's like, I'm looking for investors that have these kind of assets and are in this particular area and have red hair. I mean, it's like literally that level of specificity. I'm kidding about the red hair thing, but it's right. That's right, isn't it, Dancho? I mean, you can really, really get prescriptive. When people are like, oh, I'm looking for marketing people. Well, what kind of roles in marketing? And then you can get really, really granular.
And Jack, if you're into the dating stuff, you can say I'm looking for a CEO in a corporate world from my neighborhood, and
The hell with
I want to work
Match.com.
in a Fortune 500 companies. And you can even choose by education. I want a Harvard graduate and those kind of criteria.
So if you're looking for a sugar mama, you might want to look into Sales Navigator.
Yeah, but stay off of LinkedIn if you're doing. You know how many women that we've talked to that are on LinkedIn that hit on?
Yeah.
Like, Don't use it for the pickup website, guys.
Yes, professional photos, please. So
yeah,
please
the
continue,
good
sir.
part is that with the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it's really, I mean, have you tried using Facebook ads? Like, okay, demographics and stuff. Well, this is real time on a LinkedIn database. I was telling you before, we just download the database and after 6 months it becomes obsolete. You need to refresh it. On LinkedIn, it's a real time database. I mean, you change a job, you go on LinkedIn and you brag about it. I have a new job. And I'm like, thank you very much for auto-updating the database so we can use it more often. Thank you very much. Someone gets
Absolutely.
promoted. They're going to not post on LinkedIn. They're going to change it on their profile. Or they switch a company. They're going to do it. So with the Sales Navigator, we are able to access the firmographics, which I call. And this is like geography, size, industry, position, seniority, position titles even. So if you're after a specific software development role or chief financial officer, or now it's new chief success officer or something, you can target those people specifically and you immediately have a list like 10, 20, 500 or even 20,000. And all that is done as a first step because as a pre-criteria, instead of just going in the dark, we're using LinkedIn to fine-tune the target audience. And then we start with the more direct and additional research in order to get the additional information that we need.
Well, what's interesting about that is there's two time-saving elements to that, right? The first one is you are paring down your funnel, so you're not going out and trying to, like, let's just say that your focus is on branding, like that's your service.
Yep.
So rather than going out and just finding marketing people and maybe pitching to the wrong marketing people, you're going straight to the brand managers, the brand ambassadors, and you're saving yourself time from prospecting to the wrong audience. That's number one.
You're
plus,
hunting
if
with
you
a
have
rifle instead of a
experience-
shotgun.
Right.
And if you have experience in branding in automotive industry with small automotive industry with up to 50 employees, then you're setting LinkedIn to say, well, give me all the automotive industry in this geographic area in the US and give me the brand manager. So when you're reaching out to them, you even have the social proof and testimonials because you've already done some business in that industry in particular.
Yeah, and so here's the second way that you're going to save time with this. So, again, if you want to pare down the audience that you're trying to advertise to or prospect with, the method of using Sales Navigator is like so slick, so easy. So if you were going to go out and try to find out who the brand manager is for XYZ wireless company, you can do that. I mean, it might take a fair bit of research, going on websites and doing a lot, but in Sales Navigator, it's like 3 clicks. And boom, it's done.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know if I can share my screen to show you just in the United States of America. This is real life. United States, there are 49,000 brand managers.
I don't know if we can share your screen, but let's
can.
try. That's on my side. Do you have an option to share screen on your
Yeah,
side?
but I don't know if I was supposed to, but okay.
Yeah, go
let's
Give it
do
a shot.
Don't
Let's try it.
share screen. Which one? Wait, now one. This one.
He's got 3 of them. He's trying to figure out which one.
I'm not telling anything. So downloading it. Let
gonna
me
open
show
it
you.
now. Hopefully it's the
Watch.
right thing.
So can you
look,
see
pictures from his
49K?
vacation in Greece over the weekend. Oh, thanks, Danjo.
Close all the nasty stuff. So if I'm looking in, where particular in the US you were?
We're in Georgia.
Georgia?
Atlanta, Georgia. Yep.
Georgia. But this is the States. Wait.
GEO.
Not the country, Georgia, the state.
Yeah, I realized that, but after I clicked it. So
But I mean,
they're
if we
one and a
we can go
half.
to Georgia. I
You
mean,
go to Georgia. Why
I'm
not?
totally fine with that.
Well, in Georgia, if I look for brand managers, there is 1,500 currently in Georgia. And then we're going to say, well, let's look at which industries they are. In the consumer
Let's look
goods,
in the beer
200.
industry. Can we find one in beer?
Beer, no, that's like alcohol.
Yeah.
No, beverages, food and beverages.
We'll start there.
Oh, there we go.
Let me check if there is beer, spirits, wine and spirits. But beer is not spirits, right?
It might be in that category.
We'll take
if that's how they categorize it.
Look how,
I'm looking at 89
granular
results.
he's getting with
Wow,
that.
look at that, 90.
So you know the girl Natalia from the Coca-Cola company, or edible brands from Matthew, or the Coca-Cola again, but high row craft brands. But wait, now I'm gonna go with the keyword beer. Tell me if there is any beer. Brand manager at 3 Taverns Brewery. Brand manager North America at Padre Azul at Tequila. Okay.
All right.
So I'm just gonna take out the beer because I need a bit more people. So I have 89, right? So I'm looking now, well, show me which companies are they, or I was going for the second part, how big companies should be. So that should be company headcount. There is only 9 in the companies from 1 to 10 employees. There are 10 in companies from 11 to 50. And we usually say, well, 1 to 10 is a bit smaller for us, but 11 to 50 or 50 to 200 is a good target. So I'm clicking on those. And I have 23 people that are okay, let me summarize now. I'm looking from brand managers that are in Georgia, that are in the food and beverage, wine and spirits industry, and that are working in companies from 11 to 200 employees.
Which
now I can go even
200 employees is a really, I mean, what's critical, I think, is what you're getting to, as well as picking the number of people in a company allows you to kind of target somebody who's got a little more budget and can afford your services.
Yeah, it's not just that.
Services. So 1 to 10, you'd probably be like, unfortunately, you guys probably don't have the budget that we're for the customer that we're looking for.
Or they're just not there yet, right? They're not ready for the level of service.
But you never know. I'm not. But don't shortcut them. I mean, don't cut them off because. But in a specific situation like this is really awesome. So continue.
And Darren, an extra layer is that on different sizes you have different communication. With small companies, it's more chit-chatty, more informally. When I'm talking to corporations with 5,000 to 10,000 employees, I know it's gonna be a long road till we get there. So even the copy is different when we work with different targets.
Good. Excellent.
That's
I can
really
also
cool.
look. Let me show you a few more magics. I can also look at seniority level. I can look at owners, partners. Let me close some of the filters. I'll just go whole US because I need a bit more to show you at least the options. So we're back in the US. There are 1,000. We're still looking from 11 to 200, although now there is a lot of difference. But now I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want unpaid trainings and entry-level people, so I'm going to exclude them.
Don't give me the interns.
You're out of here. You're not going to do anything.
Yeah, but I'm gonna exclude them. Seniors, maybe, but still, I wanted a bit more high-level people in the role, right?
This is so cool.
I actually excluded quite a lot, but let me exclude the seniors as well because we are going high tickets now. Come on, we have to go after the head of departments.
Let's go where
So
the money
from 1,000, I was left with 150 from the entire US. I'm now talking. And even here, I can look at what functions they work in, whether they're in marketing, in sales, in product, in business, in operation and stuff. And then I can play a bit with the roles. So if we're looking at the brand manager, I can also work with brand. There is a senior brand manager, which is a good role, right? Then I'm going to work with brand director. So I'm going to add the brand director as well. And we're 274 now. Brand executive, is that a thing in the US? Let's see. Maybe. So brand specialist, brand manager, brand representative, brand assistant. No, thank you. Senior brand manager.
It's like, you have no juice, buddy. You're out.
Brand manager, the head of brand. That's good one. And this is my thing. Now, in the title, it supports Boolean search. So I'm actually create and or Boolean search when looking. So I can actually, now I don't want to put a whole formula, but I'm looking for brand manager, but not brand assistant manager. So what it will do, it will exclude people. I mean, when you're searching brand manager, it will include brand assistant manager because it's LinkedIn. It finds the two keywords and it thinks it's good, but I can actually use Boolean search in order to add or exclude rules. So we're left with 284, and it was
programming term, Boolean search. It's like, oh, we all know what a Boolean loop is. Well, if you've done any programming, computer programming, you know what it is.
Not for me.
And it's interesting that I can learn. Let me see in which industry there are most brand managers in these sizes. So I can see in marketing and advertising, of course, they're the most, but consumer goods, okay, beer could also be a consumer good. Or financial services, in pharmaceuticals, there are a lot of brand managers, or in retail, or in internet, or in food production. So you see, I can easily use Sales Navigator to fine-tune a laser focus now. I'm not saying, well, you know what, I have 5 different products. We're saying, well, if you have 5 different products to 5 different targets, let's do one at a time because we really need the laser focus. I'll show you later why, but at this stage, even we have projects where we now go over all 284 and do qualification to make sure that they are really, really the right ones.
The right people, and they're alive.
Yes.
So
they're not dead. Sorry, Roger. I don't know why I killed Roger.
All right, 2 things, Dan. One, Jake just opened up another, or I opened up another beer for Jake because he hurt his arm last week, and actually he hurt his primary working arm, and he can't do anything with it. So that's why I poured his beer. What are you drinking there?
I'm drinking First Crush, which is one of the staples from Line Creek. It's hilarious. My youngest son, Levi, the other like 2 weeks ago, he was eating snacks and he grabbed a bag of Doritos, and he came over and I'm like, "What are you eating?" He's like, "Old trusty Doritos." And that's how I feel about First Crush. It's old trusty First Crush. It's always delicious. It's always available, and it's kind of a tropical style IPA. It's perfectly balanced, not too sweet.
Always good year round.
Man, if only you had delicious taste of vision. There, Dan.
Yeah, I'm
one of those.
I'm looking at the Line Creek website in parallel. So the First Crush is a bit weaker than the coloring beer, the white IPA.
Yes, we have to throttle down, or we're going to stumble out of the studio today.
7.3 to 6.3, you know?
Yes. But first of all, before we move on, because there's another element of this conversation I really want to have. But for those of you that are listening, this was really cool. We were able to share Dan Show's screen. So great example of what this live podcast can do, and the fact that you should be watching us on video now. And I got to say, man, I'm actually really shocked at how well this is working.
I know.
It's coming, like Dancho said, through the earth.
Well, I mean,
Peachtree City.
Yes, our listeners, if you need, you can actually go back and watch it afterwards. And this segment right there, you probably do if you're really interested in using Sales Navigator. That was a great example and how granular you got.
And Dancho was on the ready to do it, man. I appreciate it, buddy. That was cool.
So
we didn't have this pre-planned, so it was on the spot. Like, let's look at brand
managers.
managers.
Like a little pressure.
So you've got you finally target this customer or batch of customer that you're going to now have contact with, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do you start developing, as you said, the smaller companies, it's going to be a little more chatty, back and forth, a little more casual. The larger companies, it's going to be a little more formal. So when you're starting to formulate the message and the initial contact with these people, I'm sure there's still a baseline for both, right? You're not coming out and pitching them immediately with that very first contact. Sorry, I'm trying to swallow at the same time.
Darren's getting over being sick.
There, sorry. And,
he's a bit snotty.
But I mean, you're like, what's your initial, like, hey, because you guys are doing the marketing message for these other companies, right? So when you're doing that,
Darren, shut up and let him answer.
I'm done.
Wow.
See,
Bam.
Darren sometimes can ask really long questions.
But Jack, you're in the same office, in the same desk. You can just kick him on the below the desk.
Oh, that's a great point. He's across from me.
I just need to get you a little gun.
You already asked the question, Darren. Shut up.
Sorry, go for it.
He's got medicine head.
The ICP is usually the first step where we're saying, well, ICP,
what'd you say,
ideal
ICP?
client profile. Yeah,
Oh, I
I'm
gotcha.
too much in the buzzwords. But
all right.
we
No, I
first
like it.
need to really fine-tune the laser focus on who is your ideal client profile. And then our copywriter kicks in. And she's like, okay, well, your profile, public profile, needs to be adjusted toward to, now that we know who are we talking to, let's change it. Let's adjust it that if we're talking to brand managers, let's put your profile as you're talking to a brand manager, but also add the human aspect of your life. I mean, we are not like robots. Well, this is my CV. I did MBA, I did master degree, I did XYZ, but it's like I'm inspired by something. I love drinking beer, and I went on a mission to actually promote the drinking of beer through a business podcast. And we've done more than 117 podcasts so far. So you see, you're a human being. It's not like CV. 8 year I worked like this, 7 year I did this, and then I mean, it's so, I don't know, narrow or blunt. But when you add the human aspect, like I had a problem and I solved it, and now I made my mission to help everybody else that has the same problem, people get inspired and they connect with you. So second thing is that we optimize your profile. So of course you're going to get a better acceptance rate, because when the brand manager is going to saw your profile, they're going to really say, oh, I can relate to this guy. Let me connect with them.
So I want to tell a story about this. And I've told this story to many people over the years, and I don't know that I've ever put on the podcast.
I'll let you know if you have.
Thanks, Darren. Darren will correct me. I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast. So when I was the chief operating officer for Cricket, you can imagine in Cricket Wireless, just so you know, they're a major carrier, wireless carrier in the U.S. So having a job like that, C-level job at a wireless company, I got hit with connection requests on LinkedIn every day, to the tune of it was typically about 20 to 30 connection requests a day. I got phone calls, I got emails. People were trying to sell me stuff all the time. And it was just, it was noise, it was nonsense. But one day I came into my office, and of course I see all the LinkedIn requests, and even though most of them were junk, I always took the time to go through them just to see, am I passing somebody up? Is the chairman of the company trying to connect with me? I should probably, check, make sure. But I had one. I came in one day, and there was a connection request with a message, and the guy said, and I used to do, just so you know, Nancho, I used to do sports car racing, and he said, "Hey, congratulations on your win last weekend. I saw that you're leading the championship in points, and that's really awesome. It's really good to see somebody like yourself out there giving it their all in the sports car. Way to go!" I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?" I had no idea who this guy was.
Right away, I had from my ego.
Well, but the whole thing was, I'm like, I had no idea who this guy was, no idea whatsoever, and I could tell that this guy not only that wasn't something that I put out on my LinkedIn profile or anything like that. This guy had to dig to get that level of information on me, and so I immediately responded to him and said, "Let's chat." And that was it.
Jack,
and we were talking the next day. And the very long story short, he represented a customer service outsourcing company, which I ultimately did business with. And it was that initial message that made it happen, because I'm like, I don't even know what the guy's selling, but everybody else is here, and he went way up here and did something that nobody else was willing to do. His character, I need to meet this guy.
That's better than him, saying, "Hey, Jake, you look really good in that bathrobe last night."
That's something Darren Flanagan would say.
That was my point.
Awful.
I wanted to introduce Darren. I mean, Jack, there is a fine line between creepy and business intelligence. But it's a really fine line.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. But that was one of those things that it wasn't creepy, but in the way that he wrote the message, it wasn't creepy.
That was good, though.
But man, the guy did his research, and he knew what was important to me. And so the whole thing, the reason why I felt compelled to reach out to him was I know the guy's trying to sell me something, but if he took this amount of time, invested this much time to understand what's important to me, he's going to listen. And I need vendors and partners that are going to listen to me. And that's why he ultimately got the business.
Yeah, I was also trying to find an example for a creepy message that I would have sent it to you, Jack.
Darren's inbox. There's plenty.
No, but Jack, I also did some research, of course, before the podcast. And imagine if you get a invitation on LinkedIn. I mean, Jack, for you particularly now, which would be like, "Hi, Jack, has it been 10 years already since the baby shower on Lake Mary's office?" wow, kids grow so fast. I mean, I am sure it's really hard with 3 kids, but I'm sure it's hard. How are you currently struggling?
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
that's a little
man.
too much. You've been on my Facebook page then.
No, he's been on mine because I had a
That's what
I had a baby shower 10 years
he's-
ago.
But
That's what
that's
he's
creepy
saying.
for me. If I see a message
that's
like
what I
that, I'm
was
like,
Yeah. No, thanks.
where's the camera?
That's a
No,
little
thanks.
too.
I'm out. Yes. but the message that this guy sent me, it didn't at all feel creepy. It was well thought out. It was well reached. And I mean, I could tell that this guy, it wasn't like somebody just went and scrolled through my Facebook feed from 10 years ago and was like, this guy did his homework clearly and articulated the
good
message
way.
well in a good way. And immediately, I mean, I didn't even blink. I immediately responded and
Nice.
said, let's talk.
Well,
And I think that's probably where you're going with this is you really need to understand who you're reaching out to before that first contact, right?
Jack, can I tell you a very simple secret? We didn't invented hot water. Hot water has been around for a while. We just try to replicate what people do in real life, and we just try to do it online, on LinkedIn. I mean, just give you a short example. When before the corona, people were able to go to B2B events, B2B conferences, and different kind of B2B shows. And you don't really go and spam people well, like, hi, my name is Jake. I actually sell XYZ. Not interested. Thank you. Hello, I'm selling this. It doesn't work like that in real life. You go to a guy, hi, what do you do? Well, I do this. What do you do? Well, I do this. Well, not compatible. Thank you. Next one. Hi, what do you do? But it's a chit-chatty a bit where you find few potential people, you exchange some business cards, and then you follow up after the event, right? Well,
Am
the
I
same
the
guy.
only one that walked around those trade shows like SEO optimization, SEO? Who wants it? Come get it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only one.
Yeah. Probably.
Well,
Might be.
maybe that's why I
don't
never
think
got a client at one of these shows.
Well, we coined our own term. It's called digital outreach fever. People that are behaving in a certain way in the physical world, they actually behave completely different when it comes to online. So we coined it. It's our term. I mean, I hope it will spread. But as a digital outreach fever, in the B2B events, you're like a normal guy. Hi, what do you do? What I do? If there is synergy, exchange some business cards, and that's it. Well, the same guy goes to online and he realized that with automation, he can scam the crap out of everybody. So he sends like 10 million emails on LinkedIn, and with the hope of 0.00001% success rate, he got few interested. He's like, okay, that was a successful campaign. And it's a fever because what we're trying to do is just to bring the human approach online. It's a very simple thing. That's why I was saying we didn't invent hot water. We're just saying, well, it works in real life. Why nobody is actually doing it in the digital world? Because in the digital, you have an email and you're like, well, I can actually send an automated mail which can be sent to thousands of people. And we're like, would you send the same email manually? No. Well, then why are you sending it automatically? Because the goal of the automation is to save you time of something that you would actually send manually. Just put it into an automation system to save you time, not to send it manually to 100 people, not to have different messages for automation and then different messages for manual.
So I have two things. One, Jonathan, thank you for
We'll get to that.
your comment, and we will get to that. To Dancho, when you're saying you have a content manager who writes these messages for the contact, do you tailor it down specifically for each individual person, say those 95 marketing managers for the spirits and wine? Would you just create one message for all of them, or do you try to get very specific and individualize the message to each of those people?
Well, it depends.
What's more effective?
Of course, fully manual is more effective, but we're trying to figure out the frameworks behind the messages rather than the automation of the messages. And that's maybe the main differentiation here is that we don't send message 1, wait 3 days, message 2, message 3, and then just invite them on a meeting. Because, I mean, come on, if someone ignored your first, second, and third message, there's no way when he got the fourth, would you come on a call to be, well, now that you invited me, I'm coming. Our structure is just
Depends where we're
conversation
gonna have
starters.
lunch.
And the
If
gift
they're
voucher.
paying and they're paying for lunch, I may show up.
But our structure is more conversation starters. So, a funnel like this, people are sending message 1, message 2, message 3, going down the funnels. We're actually trying to send like this, just horizontally, message 1, message 2, message 3, message 4. We're trying to figure out touch points on different topics in order to engage into conversation. Because with the LinkedIn messages that are pre-prepared, but the frameworks are pre-prepared, they're not exactly typing, the goal is to get someone to respond. Because once someone responds, you're continuing the conversation on LinkedIn, and then and only then you're actually able to qualify them, see if they're a good fit, and then invite them on a call or not.
Right.
So,
well, that's important though. When you said moving them through the funnel, and a lot of people don't understand what a prospecting or a sales funnel is. And so when you're saying you have 4 different messages across the top of the funnel, you're trying to get them to at least engage in that first one to bring them closer to, as the funnel gets narrower, to ultimately that sale. Yeah, that conversion. So that's a great thing to do. And I think that right there.
Can I actually share my screen just one more time?
We will, but I want to make a quick point, though, before we do that, Dancho, and then we'll do it. You made a really important point, and I don't want to gloss over this, and I want people to hear it. So in the world of prospecting and conversions, so you said that some people will go after that automation. I'll hit, 1 million, 10 million people, and I might get a 0.0001 conversion rate, but they're conversions, right? Well, I've been sold both ways as a consumer. So I told you about the guy that reached out with the custom message. And then there's also been I know I got hit with a robot with a mass campaign, but I found a company that had a service or a solution that was very niche. And I'm like, hey, I need it. So conversion, I bought. But the loyalty, where this relationship starts can make a huge difference long term in how much I'm willing to tolerate, how much I'm going to partner with that person. Because the guy that, that had that great outreach to me, there was a couple points in the business relationship where they were struggling, and I gave them a lot of grace. If it was somebody that was a robo conversion and I didn't really start it off warmly, I might be like, you know what? Screw you guys, I'm out. I'm going to find somebody else.
Well, you
know what I mean? Where the relationship starts, that initial contact, can have downstream impact too, can it not?
Jack, I haven't seen this expression in a while. You got me laughing.
It's haven't been to Italy in a while, huh?
I've seen it, but not in a while, honestly.
Well, right now, I'll tell you what, everybody who's not Italian, after they won the Euro Cup there, everyone else is giving them.
True, but no, Jake, you're spot on. A relationship building is a long-term stuff, and nobody is really interested in investing all the time. I mean, people are getting lazy. Why would I do that individually where I can just click a button and send the millions? And you know why? People get away with it, especially if it's a cheaper service like $20, $50. It's like, sure. Hi, my name is Dancho. For $10, I'm offering this. I don't want even to waste your time for small services. 5K, 10K, it doesn't work. You cannot send a fully automated message to a guy and saying, well, my program starts from 20K. Feel free to reach out.
I think what you're doing, part of what I'm getting through this, and we're getting ready to share your screen, Jade, kind of click you over so we can share that, is that LinkedIn has become very impersonal over the years when it started out more personal. And the method that you guys are, the way you're approaching this, is a more personal and intimate relationship in a good way, in a business sense. And that, again, as Jake just said, you're going to develop a long-term customer because of that. You may have somebody that's going to give you that quick fix that you were talking about, that specific middle back scratcher thing that you bought.
Why'd you have to tell everybody?
Well, But the guy who followed you, for your racing and reached out, you're going to give him more grace. You're probably going to spend more money with that person too, because he's on number 2.
He's slow.
His second beer. But you know,
Mines
you're
are
going to
bigger.
spend more money because you're comfortable with that person. You've built that relationship.
Right.
And Dancho, what you seem to be doing is building that more intimate relationship with customers through LinkedIn. So I appreciate that. Now we'll share your screen.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a very simple example on frameworks. I mean, I'm into framework stuff, so I can easily show us a funnel. And why I wanted to show you is that here is the typical outreach. So it is a funnel. People send an introduction, they put a delay, then they say message 1, they message 2, message 3, and then hope that someone will say, well, now that I've ignored your message 3s, I'm interested in getting on a call.
That's how I approach dating.
Only there's no meeting at the bottom. It's a restraining order.
Okay, Darren. So here is the new model that you should follow. Trust me, it will significant. No, but
Less
marrying.
restraining orders.
No, but getting married is a high ticket service. It's a big commitment. So you really need to follow the other funnel. And this is the ZZ framework that we named it. And as you can see, it's not message 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 horizontally. Because our whole goal with these messages is just to break the response obstacle. I'm not trying to sell, I'm not trying to pitch, I'm not trying to burn bridges, which is very important. So I will show you examples of messages like this. Actually, I know them. But my whole point is that I'm not gonna try to sell you, qualify you, anything. My whole goal with these messages is just trying to get a response from you. Because once I get a response, it's not one message. There could be 5, 10, 50 messages here, and we talk about what you do and how you do, and I share. It's a conversation, man. It's not like an interview like, well, how many employees do you have? 50. Okay, well, what do you do as a brand manager? Okay, how many revenues, how much budget do you have for brands? People will not respond to that. Actually, here is actually conversation and trying to pass the problem obstacle, so they would realize they have a problem, and then to realize that there is a solution, and then to pass the meeting obstacle, so they would be interested in coming on a call. And as you can see on the side is the marketing support, because man, it's much easier when you have case studies, social proofs, testimonials, and that's why we actually use Sales Navigator, because instead of just going to a random industry, to a random geography, we're looking into our client's ideal client profile. Well, let's look at the past. Let's see what kind of industries you've served so far. So we can, during this chit chat conversation, say, well, you know what? There was a company in the beer industry, a brand manager, and let me just show you how great result we managed to achieve for them. And you see, it's much more direct. And when we're talking, you see these 4 different messages?
I like that.
This can be automated. It shouldn't. It's good to have manual crafted. But even if you're automating, you're not automating it like that. You're just trying 4 different conversation starters in a hope that a cold prospect will respond. The moment someone responds, you have to move to one-on-one conversation. You cannot
like a
make assumption.
typical conversation, because I like that top of the funnel. I like how you have the 4, as you put it. It's not a message; it's a conversation starter. So, in general, what somebody who's going to try using Navigator on LinkedIn, because we're talking about B2B prospecting on LinkedIn here, what would be something good for a conversation starter that some of our audience could try to use?
Can I show you the 4 structures that we have? I mean,
sure.
Okay. Yeah. The promotion period in August, I'm publishing a book where all these frameworks will be inside, and the title is Sweet Leads. Because I mean, I didn't got touched to tell you anything about BizB Solution, but I mean, if people are interested, they can just check out the website. But in August, we're publishing Sweet Leads. How a sweet lead is actually all the frameworks that we have, from ideal client to a database creation, to creating the conversation starters, to doing the campaign execution, even handling the responses. But back to the conversation starters. Here is the framework that we use for conversation starters. And here I can give you a lot of examples. I mean, Darren, we did psychology testing. People want to talk. Okay. Switching back to conversation starter in general. No, but my whole point is we try to see what clicks and what makes people respond. Just breaking this response obstacle. These are the 4 things in this structure specifically. So the first one is duality. I'm trying to present you in the chat a a dual things that you need to choose from, A or B. And it's not like, you know what, A, you're probably busy, or B, you're probably something. I mean, that's really silly to put. Yeah, that's really silly. But within our research here on the ideal client profile, we're actually trying to understand what kind of problems a typical brand manager in the brewery industry would have. Or we target consultants, so I can talk a lot about how management consultants are struggling and what kind of conversation starters we can figure out. And this is, okay, I'm not gonna go to the dating world, but when you go to a bar, you don't reach out to a girl and you're saying, hi, would you propose, and directly propose. You're just gonna start some general chit chat about the weather, about football. Okay, you're not gonna touch football on a first date, that's for sure.
But drinking,
yeah, I'll buy her a drink and stuff. And then if you see the chit chat is going good, then you can move down the funnel. Maybe a second date, a third date, ultimately becoming a client or actually proposing for a wife. But my whole point is that, going back to the conversation, is the duality. To give you an example, when we reach out to management consultants, we actually send the invitation as simple as possible. Hi, as a colleague in management consulting, I just want to be part of your network. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing sneezy. I'm just saying I'm really trying to expand my network. Once they accept us, we now have frameworks. I told you that you have to check their profiles and really tailor something unique about them. But I'm just trying to give you the 4 structures that we have from our copywriter. And then we just try to apply to each individual. So in the duality is that when we talk to management consultant, we're saying like, hi, I actually talked with several fellow management consultants and opinions seem divided. On the one hand, consultants believe that now is the right time to help companies because of the corona, and we really need to help companies to survive and also grow through this crisis. However, on the other hand, now companies really have a limited budget. So it's really hard to help them. I was just curious, how is the situation with you?
It's a great way to get engagement.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to start.
You're just putting them on the hook right there.
But I'm not selling. I'm not pitching. I'm not doing anything. I'm really trying to connect with them. And you know what's good? If they ignore you, you didn't burn the bridge. If they didn't respond at all, you can still be friends with them after 6 months. Because at the end of the day, I just put the topic out there with, now if you want me to break it, I had a conversation with fellow consultant. That means that it's not something that I thought. It's actually, I talked with several people and opinions are divided. Yeah, and now I'm trying to create the duality. Duality is like, ones are thinking like this, but the others are thinking like that. What do you think?
And you know what? You just ask somebody for their opinion. And people love to give their, what is it? What's the phrase?
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got
So, I mean, as soon as you ask somebody for their input and their opinion, you've already got them. And now that's going to, I'm sure you get a lot of engagement from that.
Well, and I love the duality because I think one of the things that is really interesting about this approach, Dancho, is that so many people, they get analysis paralysis, right? So if you ask somebody like, so what do you think of the economy? They're like, oh shit, I don't know what to say. But do you think it's this or that?
Yeah.
Well, that's an easier answer. And you're much more likely to have somebody say, well, I think the economy is going to be great.
Little A/B testing right there. And then it moves them on to this second part.
Yeah, and so just to kind of put this into perspective, like, when we were talking about the beer brand manager, if you were to reach out to a beer brand manager, you might say, what's more pressing for your brewery's brand right now? Is it trying to create a brand identity that more appropriately aligns with your values? Or is it coming up with a brand that differentiates you from the other craft breweries in the market?
Yeah, I'll just put the same framework on the one hand, on the other hand. So on the one hand, because when you're asking them directly, what is it? Their guard is like this. Someone is asking me something. And if you put it as a third party people, I had a conversation with several brand managers in the beer industry and opinions seem divided. He's talking with colleagues now. He's not like me against you. I talked with several and opinions are divided. It's like what people are saying.
Very smart.
And then same two things. I mean, I wouldn't change anything. On the one hand is whether to do it like that, or on the other hand is trying to have a unique brand. So I would just wanted to hear your opinion. And you see, this is really psychology in place. And I'm going back, I'm not trying to preach or sell, I'm just trying to get them into a conversation. And you're right, people are very opinionated. Believe me, we get a lot of responses. But at the end of the day, I think that's the whole goal of the campaign, right? Mm-hmm. To engage with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
some
phenomenal.
People will ignore this message. But if they ignore it, I still have an open window to send them a second message, because it's not like, hi, my name is Dancho, I sell this XYZ, are you interested to buy? And if they ignore, I really don't know what would be the follow-up. Hi, I wrote you 3 days. If you're interested in buying, are you still not interested or
Right.
something? So the second message is empathy. Well, if people are opinionated, try to ask them to complain. Man, that's a completely different level of conversion. We can say, well, you know, as a consultant, I'm sure it's really hard to reach out during, okay, now we use Corona. I don't know, I could figure out, of course, examples out of Corona, but now the conversions that we're using is that I'm sure as a management consultant, it's really hard to get some new clients. I mean, the B2B world is a bit different. It's a more complicated, longer sales cycle, and it's really hard. But I'm curious, what are you currently doing to get your voice reach out to as many companies as possible? So people love to complain. They're like, well, now
Yes,
that you
they
asked
do.
me, it's very hard. There are some fresh examples like, well, actually
Now that you
things are
mention it.
pretty good. No, but there are people that they don't complain. They're like, well, things are perfect for me. We got tons of clients and everything. But guess what? My job is finished because I got a response. Because that's the whole goal of these 4 messages, just to get the response. We continue the work up to here, but with these 4 messages, just the goal is to get a response. And when they say, you know what, you're right, it's really hard, and now the Corona, and then the COVID is moved, and then it's hard to convince, and budgets are limited, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, people have really good concerns. On the other hand, people are saying, well, actually, no, things are perfect for us. But in both cases, I have a great continuation in the follow-up line. So I can now continue conversating with them rather than just me talking to myself.
So talk to us about credibility and free value.
Let me just get a sip here.
Oh, this is a man after my own heart. Hold on.
I'll tell you
Let
what.
me get a sip of beer before I talk
While
to
you're
you
getting
in
a
the
sip
audience.
of beer, I'll let you know what I opened up.
Yeah, what'd you open there, Darren?
So I opened up the Conserve Georgia series, and that's that wonderful honey rye blonde.
Hold it up to the people can see it
Like
now.
that honey rye blonde. This is the Conserve Georgia series. So when you buy a 6-pack of this and from their Conserve Georgia series, they donate $1 to the Southern Conservation Trust, and they actually have a new one out. They do have a seltzer that just came out this week. So
Oh, that's a Conserve Georgia seltzer. Oh, that's cool. So if you
can't
can't
wait
drink
to
beer,
try that.
and you can have a seltzer.
So we enjoy that, and it wasn't, it was my girlfriend actually. We went to a brewery and we had some decent beer, but
Imagine
found
that Darren took a woman to a brewery.
she actually liked this, or found out she liked this, so that's kind of how I hooked her. I'm like, listen,
Yes.
if you continue to date me, I've got to.
I come with Line Creek. I'm just saying.
Creek. So for some reason, she stuck around.
Yeah.
Darren, that's message for free value, man. But you should
I
have
jumped
tried
ahead.
the first 3 first.
Damn it. Okay. So we're on
Yeah, so-
credibility.
The credibility, our logic, psychology behind this, if they ignored you on the duality and they ignored you on the empathy, it's probably they don't see a reason why they should respond to you, because they don't think you're worth of a response.
Or your name
So
is
we're
Darren
saying-
Flanagan.
Unless, yeah, that's it.
Well, we can skip credibility then.
Sorry, buddy. Heard about
But
you.
we get a lot of responses because they want to engage, they don't have the time. But then with the credibility, it's like, okay, I jumped into questions without properly introducing myself. My name is Dancho, CEO, founder, 6 year, 400 clients. We helped a lot of stuff, a lot of value proposition and stuff. Nothing salesy, nothing pitchy, just credibility. I have master degree in entrepreneurship, executive MBA on management. I worked with a lot of, I ran out of idea on credibility, but the whole
You got
goal
more
is
credibility than us. I'm just saying. I'm an
It was
idiot
an
that does
example.
podcasts, and so is he.
Yeah.
So
that
There
could
we
work. That could also work. But my point is that if they ignored your 2 messages, it means that they think that you're the new guy on the street. You open just a marketing agency and tomorrow you're reaching out to a lot of people and they're like, who's this guy? Why should I even bother responding?
Right.
Well, with the credibility, I'm trying to sort that out. Well, I'm not the new guy. I have some credibility or experience in the field, and I'm trying always to position as a colleague to them. Not like I'm your supplier or I'm your client or something, a colleague. Because with colleague, when they reach out, it's peer-to-peer conversation. Peer-to-peer conversation breaks the ice very good.
Got it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
With that, we get a lot of responses like, well, sorry for missing your previous message. Nice to meet you. And they're getting back to the conversation because now they started realizing that I'm trustworthy.
So all of this framework going through the 4 messages, this is just a breakthrough the response obstacle. So now you've started a conversation. That's it. That's the only objective at this point, is just to get them to talk.
Exactly. That's why I showed you it's not the goal to send 4 messages and move them on a meeting. The goal is to have, if they respond on the first message, that's it. They'll never see the other 3 messages. We're moving into chit-chatty mode. If they don't respond on the second, we stop with the third and fourth and we move to the chit-chatty. But it's not the goal like send message 1, 2, 3 and come on a call. That's why I wanted to show you these messages. And the 4 message is like, well, I tried. I didn't burn the bridge. I still have the relationship open because, as you see, did I try selling them B2B lead generation and LinkedIn? Nothing. I just tried different conversations to start. The last message is like farewell message. I mean, look, you're probably busy. I tried reaching out. I'm sure that you're not available at the moment. Now, summer, you're probably on a holiday or something. I just wanted to share a free ebook with you, free case study, free white paper, free, something free. Yeah. Don't go for the free consultation hour because you see it as a free. For them, it's a meeting. Or when I say, well, you're going to get a free 1 hour, I don't see the angle that I'm actually asking them to spend 1 hour as well. And that takes commitment. We're still at the bottom. We're still at the bar meeting the girl. You cannot say, let's spend 1 hour free consultation. I'll give you a free massage if you meet the girl right on the spot.
That's your problem, Darren.
Is that what it is?
Hi, my name's Darren. I'll give you a free massage.
No, but with Darren, it should work.
And I'll buy you a steak dinner.
No, but with Darren, it should work. I'm Darren. I have good connection with the beers, Lime Creek Brewing. If you agree to come on a date, I'll give you the steak and the beer. So you have some free value.
No, not Darren. So the free value, I actually like this. And it's kind of a way to, because if they haven't responded to these, this whole point is to try to get them, if they're not going to respond to those first 3 carefully crafted messages, message 4 is kind of like an open, hey, gave it a shot, here's something for you. If they ever do decide, great. If not, you're kind of moving on.
Thanks for your time. I just validated your parking for you. How about that?
And Jack, we also don't send them a link here. Everything is permission based. We don't want to be the spammy guy. It's not like, well, since you're probably on a holiday, here are 5 PDFs, 4 PowerPoint presentation, and 3 case studies. I mean, our whole goal is that, well, we have a white paper or an ebook that I wanted to share with you if interested. I'm still shooting for a response.
So while we're talking about this, we got a question from one of our watchers, and I want to bring it up. So Jonathan Snyder asked, I see the value of being able to use Sales Navigator to specifically search for the best 5 people to talk to. Is it better to engage them with LinkedIn or just use LinkedIn to see who to talk to and try to gauge them over email or phone call? Just trying to figure out how to best utilize this. So that process that you were talking about, the funnel, the 4 messages and moving them along, is that in LinkedIn? Is that email? Like, what's the best method here?
LinkedIn.
Is it?
I mean, my whole point is that if you convince them to get a response on LinkedIn, it means that they use the platform. If they use the platform, stick to that platform. We do have a solution where we use LinkedIn and email, but then it's a holistic approach. Like, we sent a LinkedIn invitation. If they don't accept us in 2 or 3 days, we sent an email like, hi, I actually sent you a LinkedIn invitation a few days ago. I didn't get a response, so I thought of sending you an email. And the whole point is that If they respond on email, we continue on email. If they respond on LinkedIn, we continue on LinkedIn, because we actually give them the whatever channel they prefer. We actually continue the conversation there. And I mean, ideally is to bring them on a call, but this whole framework is breaking a completely cold prospect that has never ever heard about you, to actually bring them on a conversation, start chit-chatting a bit, warm them up. But I didn't went over the response, problem, solution, obstacle. This is actually a qualifying process for us, because we don't want to bring anyone on the call for our clients. We actually ask questions, they respond, we provide some insights like, well, same with us, or, it's not an interview. But at the end of the day is that when we want someone to come on a meeting, it's high qualified lead. It's not just someone like, hi, Darren, you're interested in a beer, come on a call. And then we have a client who is in negotiation. He's like, well, there is not really a relevancy here, but we're like, well, how big are the deals that you're doing, and what are you doing, Darren? And I see actually you have the Launch and Go workspace. Well, what kind of companies are you looking there? Well, would you be interested in helping us filling up all the space? And then I am interested in bringing you on the call. But what we don't do ever is actually try to pitch or sell on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a channel to find them, warm them up a bit, qualify them, and bring them on a call. Because on the call, you have the diagnostic phase, like a doctor, give me blood, urine, breathe in, breathe out, and everything, and to see if you're a good fit. And if you're a good fit, then you can say, well, actually good that I met you, let's talk. There are many calls that I just do. They come on a call, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, sorry, but I cannot really help you. I mean, if you're in B2C,
you're screwed.
You're in trouble. Oh boy.
I'm sorry, buddy. You ain't gonna make it.
Good luck.
Now,
I thought you were just checking my breath.
So I want to go way back, because I want to ask you a question. This has been great. And when we were talking about it in the beginning, and I asked you, when you guys started, you learned through hard knocks what not to do on LinkedIn. And we kind of got off that a little bit, and I want to bring that back a little bit more as far as, what don't you do? I mean, you've just given us the whole process of the way to actually approach the customer the right way, potential customer. So how did you learn? How did it evolve from you guys doing the wrong thing? Like, what did you do that was wrong, and you began to realize that this has to evolve to get better?
Metrics. We did a lot of A/B testing in-house. Darren, we currently have 7 different LinkedIn profiles that are doing outreach on 7 different continents. Okay, are there 7 continents at the moment?
57 states.
But the whole goal is that we test a lot. We are even launching a BSB laboratory where we're doing in-house experiments. Well, what if I actually take a male LinkedIn profile and a female LinkedIn profile with same description and everything, and I just put them out there and see who gets a better response, who gets a better acceptance rate, who gets a better engagement rate. Then what if I take an Eastern Russian name with a typical US name on both males and put them on the Middle East and see what kind of response are we gonna get? And this gives me the insight of what works and what doesn't. And we've learned quite a lot. I mean, when a girl on LinkedIn approaches you, much better conversion rate, much better acceptance rate, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is unfortunately but predominantly male audience. I see something is
Yeah, so Harlan Hammock just commented that you're coming on his podcast this week, The Courage to Lead. So he's tuning in right now. Hey, Harlan.
I'm still waiting for Harlan to call me back. He said he wanted to have me on the show.
He said the courage to lead, not the courage to be a creepy Irish guy.
Well,
Darren, I saw that you're connected with him. I did my homework.
I am connected to him.
Dancho, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Jake was on a show, actually.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, I was. I was on the podcast, Courage to Lead.
And Harlan was on our show.
He was,
way
a long
back
time ago.
when.
Yeah.
So,
back
great episode with him.
It's a small world.
So it's good that you learn that way. I mean, you learn through your A/B testing. You learn through, okay, we don't automate this stuff, and then really getting precise with your the 4 messages that you send out. Now, do you help people? I mean, businesses. Obviously, your company helps people with their LinkedIn messages and stuff, and so we can come to you and say, "Hey, Dancho, I want to use you for my business. Can you help me create the right messages that I'm going to contact folks on LinkedIn?"
Well, there are two solutions to this. One is a bit scarier, one is not. So,
You know what? Ironically, Darren says the same thing when he meets women.
It happens. One might be scarier, but you're going to enjoy it a lot more in the end. Just give it time. Give it time.
Darren, you should start the value ladder, like weather, sports, then chit-chatty, going to the problem obstacle, like you're in a bar. Come on, let's pass the problem
right
obstacle.
off the bat. I'm just going to number 4.
Oh, that's the free value. Wait till there.
Just start
But
there and
Darren
go
needs a
backwards.
lot of help, if you can't already imagine.
I can easily walk him through the funnel steps. I mean,
Nothing's easy
first,
with Darren.
First is the response obstacle, get to the conversation. Then is the problem obstacle, like, well, you're in a bar alone. Why do you feel like that? Go the empathy card. Then the solution obstacle is like with a flashy LED, pick me. And then the meeting obstacle is let's book a date for next week.
Oh, Jake
Problem is
coached you so well ahead of time.
Darren's got so many obstacle layers to get to the first meeting. You got to draw a whole different pyramid
Instead of
for him.
4,
There's like 27
20.
lines. Yes.
Yeah, but that's why you're choosing the ideal client profile. You don't do 27 lines, but you pre-qualify them before you start doing the outreach, so you already have sorted majority of the criteria.
I know she's not right. She's a prospect. So you have the easy and not so easy solution. So talk us through the solution pass with Bisbee.
Yeah, the one way is coaching and consulting. I mean, we look at your entire outreach process from what is your ideal client, why and why not, then looking at the database, looking at the outreach, what kind of messages are you doing. I mean, helping you through the entire process. The more scary part is done for you. We take over. You just give us your LinkedIn profile and you're giving us the keys.
Trust. You want me to trust?
Yeah, and we have like at least 15 to 20 clients at the moment where we work on their LinkedIn profile, and then we're like white label. So Darren, instead of you doing the dating, we do the dating for you.
That actually
So you just
would
show
work
up.
really well.
I had to use this one. I mean, it was on spot.
in my place.
Yeah. So on tonight's date, Darren's going to be played by anybody else.
Like we put a mask from Darren and just go and talk and everything. And once we have a date,
worked out
Darren just
better.
needs to
And
show up.
somehow it's less creepy.
No,
Oh
but
my
seriously, what we're trying to do with the done for you is that we just get your LinkedIn username and password and we do everything. We optimize your profile, we identify the target audience, we even create the conversation starters, we start doing the outreach. And okay, dating advice, I would have turned it so much sooner. Okay, I'm gonna start moving to a different Tinder app.
You know what's scary is the guy who just said that is married. So
Yes.
I'm just curious on why he
Well,
wants to know about
We
dating
might move to
advice.
marital advice later.
But the whole point is that we start doing the outreach. So imagine you're the cold prospect. So there is this Darren guy shows up to you. I'm like, hi, I want to connect with you. Okay, accepting it. Darren start doing some duality, empathy, credibility, free value. So I'm actually starting interacting with Darren, and Darren asks interesting questions. I respond, Darren shares some value, and Darren suggests like, well, let's jump on a call to see if we're a good fit. And I'm saying, and the prospect is saying yes, and then actual Darren is showing up on the call, and the prospect has no idea that we were doing everything up to that point. I told you there's the
really
scary
cool.
part.
No, I like that better. I mean, a lot of times we're so busy with our business that
Right.
it's like, this is the type of help that I could really use or other people could use in their businesses that'll help them out. Because it's like, I don't have time to spend on LinkedIn and creating the message. And I got a professional who's going to create the right message for the right customer and the right audience and do it for me and just pass me that nice steaming hot lead at the end.
Right.
That I'm sitting down and now I'm connecting with them. So
Well, it's funny,
that's awesome.
Dan shows. So in my real estate business, we're B2C, and we've grown really rapidly. And the biggest reason is because so many of the people that have joined us, our core competency is that we provide them with leads, and so many people have come to us and they're really, really good at what they do, but they tell us like, I suck at prospecting. I'm not good at it. And there are so many entrepreneurs that I think are in the same boat where they're really, really good at their core competency, but they're not good. They're not skilled at the prospecting side of it. And that's actually really interesting where all of a sudden, all you need to do is show up for the meeting and do what you're really good at and let us handle everything else. That to me seems like a no-brainer model.
You know what, Jack? It's interesting how I currently show up on calls. It's just I have a calendar invitation, which is the official one, and the unofficial, which our team just gives it to me like, Dancho, this is the guy from LinkedIn. It's booked for 2 p.m. And it's easy because I just click on the link. A guy shows up. I click on the message. I can read the entire history. What he said, what I said, supposedly. What he said, what I said. So then on the call, I can just follow up and it was really me. It just skipped through the entire introduction and the legwork. So I just show up on the call and follow up on what has been said. I mean, I don't want to be like, I have no idea who you talk to and dual personality disorder. But at the end of the day, I have a really interesting hook at the end of the call because I was like, you know what? LinkedIn really works. If you look at the process on how you got there, I actually telling them, you were not involved with me up to this call. And they were like, wait. You're saying that, so everything up to the meeting was done by someone else. And I was like, now you understand the value. And they were like, I mean, that's it. That's the last thing that I'm going to say. Well, you know what? Actually, you've experienced the service because I'm meeting you for the first time. I have a nurture team here that you actually chit chat. So I just show up on the call to show you. And when I'm just going to tell them, they're like bulb lights up like, wait a minute. Wait. So you're saying I didn't talk to, but that feels so real. I didn't feel like I'm talking to a chat or to a bot because we really do manual nurturing with human people. Man, and they're like, I love that. I want to get the same thing. And then it's much easier to sell because we find them on LinkedIn, we bring them on a call and we sell them. Well, you've just experienced the service. Now, would you like your prospect to experience the same thing?
You know what that is? You sound like Cyrano de Bergerac right there. That's exactly what that is, right? So at the bottom of the trestle, at the bottom of the scape, he's whispering all the things to the other guy to tell him what to say to the girl on top of the tower. Yep. And there you are.
It's actually brilliant. I love it. And, you know, I want to encourage everybody that's listened to us. And, of course, if you've watched, check out the website because, you know, clearly these guys know what they're doing. It's bizbeesolutions.com, BIZZBEE solutions.com. It's on the screen if you're watching. So if you can't read that, you've been drinking along with us way faster than we're drinking. And if you're listening, it's in your show notes. All you got to do is go into the app that you're listening to the podcast, and you'll actually find a link to bizbeesolutions.com. But this, to me, seems like a no-brainer service for so many millions of entrepreneurs and small business owners, Dancho, because, you know, I had a mentor tell me once, he told me, do what you're good at and focus on that and that alone. And so many of us, when we get into business, we're good at that one thing, and we don't get into business because, like, man, I'm a masterful prospector. That's one of those things like accounting that so many of us have to learn to do and figure out. And it's like, if you can outsource your accounting, you can outsource your prospecting, right? I mean, there's no difference. And then you show up for the initial meeting, blow them away because that's what you're good at. And I get it, man. It makes total sense to me. So that's awesome, man.
Give you the first sentence that I said. We're targeting high-ticket service providers, and that's really consultants, coach, marketing and sales agencies, and software companies. And for them, it's really a no-brainer that, you know what, I'm a consultant. I have a very expensive daily fee. And if you just start bringing them meetings, I mean, they are good. They are good at closing. They're good at diagnostic. They're good at providing solution. They don't have the time nor the expertise but do all the legwork, reaching out, doing some chit chat. Sometimes it takes us a month or two to get a lead on a meeting because we do a bit wider net. We talk with a lot of prospects. Some are this month, some are the other month. The other month we reach the new ones. So at the end of the day, it takes time. It's not something that a high-ticket service provider would do on their own. From their perspective, if they're SME they could just say, well, let's hire Dancho and give us the magic so we can do it on our own. Or, you know what, just take care of this problem for me. Here is my Calendly. I just want meetings booked on my calendar. And that's it. I mean, yeah, we do need the guy at the beginning because we have a lot of questions and which angle and the laser focus and the messaging. But at the end of the day, we take it from there and we just start delivering meetings. And my whole point is that the meeting is not the one crucial thing. Yeah, it is one of the important parts. But imagine, Jack, you are surrounded with your ideal target audience. So even if they're not interested in getting on a call with you, you now have them on your LinkedIn profile, on your network forever. Okay, forever is too long. But for example, if your target audience are the brand managers, and imagine you surround yourself with 500, with 1,000, with 2,000 brand managers on your LinkedIn profile, which means that some of them are not ready to buy now. I mean, they're not always ready to buy. But even after a month or two, or even after 6 months, when they need your services, they were like, but wait, there was this Jack guy on LinkedIn. He's the go-to guy for B2B lead generation or for real estate or for whatever. And this is what we're trying to achieve. And now we've added even the content creation. I mean, this is really new, like 2 weeks ago. We've added, well, like, you know what, if you really want to be positioned yourself as an authority and as a thought leader, an expert in your field, we really need to work how we gonna start creating blogs on your behalf, how we gonna start creating social media content on your behalf. But it's interesting, the previous interviews that I was listening on this podcast were how from marketing they moved into sales, but we are more from management, we moved into sales, and now we need the marketing in order to even get better results.
Well, listen, man, I'm blown away. I've learned a lot in this conversation.
Finally.
Yeah, this
3
has been
years,
awesome.
we finally got to this.
I know.
Wait, this is
Dancho.
unrecorded, right?
Yes.
We hope it is.
Yes, the mixer's working today, so
The blinky flashy lights are doing the things they're supposed to. So
we should have
we're
good quality audio for the podcast listeners. But Dancho, I can't thank you enough. I want to encourage everybody listening and folks that watch this, reach out to Bisbee Solutions. You know, you've seen the website address. It's in the notes. Check these guys out because you guys obviously have it figured out. You put a lot of science and work behind this, and I've learned a ton today, and this has been of extreme value, at least to us. And you know what? The other thing too is it's been really cool. We did our first remote live stream, and it worked flawlessly from around the world. So we had a fan from Macedonia, who now I can say for the first time, I've got a friend in Macedonia. So Dancho, thank you so much for coming on.
Any last
stay in
minute
touch.
questions or comments from anybody?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Give
any
them
come through.
one last chance before they might
How
be
it
a
was
really good
speak
one.
now or be silenced forever.
it.
Speak now. Just reach out to Bisbee Solutions. You don't
it.
even need to ask questions.
to
All
them
you need to ask
directly.
them is, when can you guys start helping me? That's
Right.
all you need to know.
I want to grow my business in a good way.
You guys do it much better than I do. So when can you start? So
Or if you need help with dating, just reach
And
out
Jack-
to Dancho directly and he'll help
Yeah,
you
but-
with your dating profile.
I forgot that the important part, Jack, we can compensate for beer. So
Yeah,
if
well,
you
you
ship
know
me
what?
some Lion Creeks, we can make a deal.
There we go.
listen, I work for beer.
You know
I'm not
what?
gonna lie.
The cost of shipping.
I know.
I wanna
We're
ship
going to have to
this
try to figure a way to
six-pack to
export you
Macedonia.
some Lion Creek. We will work on that, okay? But Dancho, thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show, man. Do not be a stranger. This has been awesome. And wow, we pulled off our first live
One more
stream.
thing,
It's
though.
really cool.
You said, again, you have a book coming out in August. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what's the name of the book one more time for our listeners?
Well, the book name is Sweet Leads. How
Sweet
to actually
Leads.
Sweet Leads.
And how
Sweet,
how
sweet
can if I
leads.
want to buy it, where am I going to go?
Well, actually, I've signed with a publishing house. I didn't want to take the self-publishing route. So I actually signed up with a UK publishing house, and they will put it on Amazon. They'll create a print version. They'll make a Kindle version, the audio version, and all the other parts.
So we can find Sweet Leads on Amazon in
You
August.
let us know
Yeah.
once it's ready.
Tell us when it's out
and,
there.
and we'll promote it for you. We're excited to read it.
Sure. I mean, I would really appreciate, because all these frameworks, for each step, we have separate frameworks. And, you know, after it helped me a lot writing the book, because as I was writing the book, it was more like a diary. Well, in Bisbee, we do this. Wait a minute. Why are we doing like this? Go back to the company, try to fix a bit, few steps. Then like, now it's better, and come back and continue writing in the book.
Cool.
But we also put a lot of templates and frameworks and everything, really trying to spread the word. Like, people, don't spam, don't sell Viagra just on the spot. Try to be some intelligence and start talking with the right people, and start talking, like bringing back the human touch on the digital world. That's the whole vision.
Our audience is very much smarter than Darren and I, and they actually can read. So we would love for them to read Sweet Leads. So we'll promote it when it comes out. Just let us know. But man, this has been great. We appreciate you coming on, spending so much time with us. And I feel way more educated about LinkedIn than I did when we started. So kudos to you, brother.
Darren, thank you very much for the opportunity. Hey. I mean, I can talk endlessly when it comes to B2B lead generation. And if there is beer involved, I mean, then, wow.
Hey. Even better.
We'll do it again.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. If you've listened, if you've watched us in the live stream, or even watched the pre-recorded later on, we appreciate you tuning in. Hope you loved it. Folks, we will see you next week.
See you.